Yo, what's going on, everybody? We are back with another gameplay video, and we're going to be giving you a full offensive scheme out of the Minnesota Golden Gophers offensive playbook. So, day one of college football 26, we put out a mini scheme that was primarily in a trips formation. I've continued to use that playbook from launch all the way up until now, and I'll be continuing to use it at least for another week or so. We're going to try to find other schemes for you guys as well, but I found a different formation within that Minnesota offensive playbook that I really love, and we're just going to put together one big video, probably going to be over 30 minutes, just going over everything you can run on offense in this playbook if you're looking for help. Now, I always will encourage you after watching this video to jump into practice mode, whether it's practicing with a normal college team in the main menus or with your ultimate team within the ultimate team game mode. But I do also want to point out, if you go to your head-to-head menu and play college overtime, this is a great practice field, if you will, against real-life opponents where the stakes aren't very high, the games are very quick, but this is going to be another good opportunity to go out and practice this offense if you're going to go ahead and run it. First, I want to go through all of our custom audibles because the main formation we're going to be in is tight off, weak, 2 tight end, and we'll change this so it's going to be 3 wide receivers and 1 tight end. But there's a handful of formations that we can substitute, or hot route over to after we come out in this formation, and it can kind of throw your opponent's defense off and just always keep them guessing and worrying about what's next. Before we do any of the shotgun formations, there is one formation that I do like to run in Singleback. It's going to be tight flex, and the main reason that I run this one here is because of the Singleback tight flex off tackle. To me, it's just a really good run play. There aren't any tricks to it. It just happens to get good blocking. For a point of reference here, my cut team is an 82 overall. We do have a decent offensive line, but just overall, generally speaking, I don't have a very good team, and we are in practice mode on Heisman level, so it might not work very well for us trying to display these plays in some situations. But like I said, this is a pretty good run play that's going to get you to the outside and pick up some good yards. So if you do want to set up custom audibles within this tight flex formation out of Singleback, I have off tackle, which again is like our stretch play. I have halfback dive, which is just essentially a run up the middle to kind of mix it up. You can never go wrong with mesh plays. You got the double drags from left to right and right to left, and then a corner route and kind of a clear route or streak route. And then you got bench, which again is a classic. If you want to substitute that in for like the halfback slip screen, I'm not mad at that for you guys. PA draw cross gets some good route combinations there. I'd probably streak the X and square receivers, but keep the 2 crossers there. So that one's going to be up to you. But again, we're primarily going to be working out of shotgun formations. And the very first formation that I want you to set custom audibles up is going to be normal Y off close. Now, this is an incredibly popular formation from Madden 25 and College Football 25. People still use it in this year's game. I don't think it's as good, but there are some better some better plays within this formation and other playbooks. As far as it goes for me, you got your standard inside zone, but I do like to have the jet touch pass is one of my custom audibles. Below that, you're going to have Y sell, which is still a really good play from last year, and then the 4th one is going to be red zone scissors. I will run all of these plays in practice mode. I'm just setting everything up here audible-wise so I can show you how you can quickly get to these after you select your play in our main formation. The next formation you want to set audibles up on is going to be Y off trips, primarily for the RPO read Y flat, which was already a very overpowered play. And now that EA allows you to put hot routes on RPO plays, it makes it even more powerful. I'll demonstrate that when we get onto the practice field. Outside of that, it's truly up to you. I mean, you probably want to have inside zone there as a safety net to run the ball with a little bit of a quicker handoff. You can run the ball in this formation, but the handoff is delayed. Inside zone's going to get the ball to the running back quicker. Curls is a nice one with, the curl flat combo, and then PA double post is decent as well here. Nice to have a play action play in here, but again, the bottom 2, I don't really run. I switch to this formation mostly for re-wide flat. Then we have trips tight end Y slot. So this is the day 1 mini scheme formation that we put out to start out the year. And before you set up your custom audibles, I would get into a habit, if you're going to run stuff out of this, to go back to this screen right here and push right or left on your right analog stick until it says packages, because you want it to have 3 wide receivers on the left with your tight end on the right there. And just jumping ahead, if you press right on your directional pad, that's going to bring you to tight off week 2 tight end, which again is the main formation we're going to be in throughout the rest of this video. You want to do the same thing. You can see it says tight end slot. You push your right analog stick to the right or the left until it says packages. Now back over to the trips formation and our custom audibles here. These ones are mostly going to be up to you, but this is what I have set up. There's more plays that we run within this formation, but we have the RPO alert bubble. You have an inside zone. Again, same situation. If the bubble is not there, it's a slower handoff. So if you know you want to run the ball, you're going to go to inside zone for the quicker handoff. I love the cheat clear out seam. This is one of the main plays I run for 2-point conversions because of the auto motion, and one of the main reasons I even went into this playbook to start out the year. But funny enough, I don't really use this play a ton outside of the red zone in some other situations. And then PA slot corner, which is a play I don't think I really went over in that initial mini scheme video, but I actually run this one a lot more than anything. So those are my 4 hot routes, audibles. But within this formation, and we'll kind of touch on these plays here, cheat flood dive is really good. Drive post is great for a flood concept, and then you have curl flat, and then similar to drive flood, or drive post I should say, you also have the China Y post. So we'll go over a lot of those. But now let's finally talk about the main formation, which is going to be tight off week 2 tight end. I'm pretty sure this is the only playbook in the entire game that has this particular formation. And my 4 custom audibles are going to be Z Dagger, which is probably my favorite play out of this. And it's mostly because of that really quick drag route from triangle. You got your inside zone, which again is a standard run play. The RPO zone alert snag is tremendous, mostly again because you can hot routes within RPO plays, which makes this really dangerous. And then finally we have corner strike. Now if you want to change corner strike to either slot cross, which we're going to cover, or even smash dagger, I'm not mad at you because those are 2 really good plays. But for now, this is what I have set up, and those are going to be all of the custom audibles. Now let's actually run some plays. So let's start with Z Dagger, primarily the main play that I run out of this formation. And for this practice, we're just going to go against random defenses because that's typically what you're going to run into. So there's basically about 3 setups, and a lot of this can be freestyled as well, but there's about 3 setups that I run with this one. So the first one, and primarily the triangle, the X, and the circle routes are always going to stay the same. Our square receiver, which is Cam Coleman, is the one that we're primarily going to change a lot, and then the running back, it depends. So in this first setup, we're actually going to block him. So to bring up your hot route menu, I don't want to go through this every time I do one of these plays, but you're going to hit triangle on PlayStation, Y on Xbox. That's going to allow you to select any of the receivers in which you want a hot route. And in this instance, we're going to go ahead and select our running back, Jaden Ott, with R1, and we're going to push R2 on PlayStation right trigger on Xbox to put him into a pass blocking situation. And then the next thing we're going to do is change the Cam Coleman route. In this instance, we're going to put him on a post. So hot route menu with triangle or Y on Xbox, select the receiver. Coleman in this instance is square, and we're going to push up on our right analog stick for a post. So our first initial read is pretty much always the drag, no matter what we're doing. After that, the progressions are typically going to be our tight end, which is Armstrong on a streak, and then the 2 deeper routes, which would be Robinson on that deep end, and then Cam Coleman on the post here. But this drag just gets kind of almost like a speed boost, if you will. And this is not a great card that I'm throwing it to. He's an 83 overall receiver. For reference, Junior Vander Ross has 83 short route running, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if that plays into it, but it just kind of gets a nice little speed boost. And a lot of people are running man coverage this early in the year. So you're going to be able to hit that one pretty quickly. And again, you can kind of rack this up the field and gain a ton of yards after the catch. I've scored many touchdowns, specifically in that house rules event that I just showed you guys earlier with the college overtime. Many touchdowns, 1-play touchdowns, just throwing it to the drag and then just running up the field. As you can see, if they blitz, you're going to get a ton of yardage. Setup number 2, pretty similar, but instead of putting our outside receiver Cam Coleman on a post, we're going to put him on a slant and still block our running back. So hot route menu, hit our running back Jaden R2 to block him, and then again, hot route menu, select our outside receiver. This time, we're going to push right on the right analog stick to put him on a slant. This one's just a better man coverage beater. Our initial read is still going to be triangle, but if your opponent kind of keys in on that one because you've been beating them all game with it, then you got the backside slant, which should also beat man coverage here, and we're still going to have triangle again. I'm just showing you what's going to be open, and this route is really, really good. But definitely go through and practice your progressions because that one will not always be open. Now, the final setup within this formation is my favorite. I don't run it all the time because I don't want it to become too predictable, but we're actually going to send 5 out here, so if you're getting blitzed really heavily, you're not going to be able to do this. But the route that we're going to change on Cam Coleman this time, again, hot route menu, selecting him with square, is going to be putting him on a speed out, which is pushing left on your left analog stick, so it looks like this, and then we're actually going to streak our running back. So hot route menu, select the running back, and instead of blocking him, you're going to push up on the left analog stick so it looks like this. So the idea here, and if you do need extra protection, you can always block your tight end and Armstrong, but the idea here is still looking for that drag, but typically Coleman's out route or speed out, and then Vander Ross's drag will kind of clear out the left and right part of the field, and you're just going to see like this part that happens in the opponent's defense where Jaden or whoever you have at running back becomes wide open. So we'll run it and see exactly what we get. I mean, we got man coverage again, and there's our drag one more time. But I can usually get a ton of yards up the field here because the running back tends to get uncovered just like that. We got to have a better quarterback to make a better throw there with pressure in our face. I'm guessing that's why we missed it. But you saw how wide open he was just off of this route combination. Now we're getting man coverage again. We're getting bagged in man, so we got to throw that one away. Maybe I shouldn't have chose random defense for the computer to decide because they're not being very random right now. They're just running man coverage every single time. There it is again. We're going against random zone defenses now, so you can get a better idea here that you'll see R1 should end up getting open. And there it is. There's that spot in the field again. You're going to have to worry about people switch sticking on you if they're more of a talented user out there. But within this formation, this is probably my go-to setup. And if you do want to block your tight end, like I said, to have a little bit of extra blocking and time to make that throw, you can. If you really want to freestyle, you can put Robinson, which we hot route menu, select him, and then up on our right analog stick, you can put him on a post instead of a deep in. But we're mostly just looking for that right there. This is a route combo that worked really well in last year's game too. Corner strike is going to be the next play that we run. This one's actually mostly used as a man coverage beater, but again, we're just going to go against random defenses. So this one has a lot more hot routes. If you get annoyed by having to do too many, this might not be for you. But number one, we're going to streak our tight end. So hot route menu, X to select him, and up on the left analog stick to put him in a streak. You can leave Vander Ross on that deep end, but I primarily slant him. So hot route menu, triangle for Vander Ross, and then we're going to push right on our right analog stick to get a slant so it looks like that. And then Robinson, we're typically going to put on a post route. So hot route menu, select the circle receiver on the right of your screen and up on the right analog stick. So our quick read is Vander Ross on the slant. The backside inside or inverted dig route is going to be like our second read, and then down the field we have the tight end X and then Robinson circle on the post. If they're in a man coverage where you don't have a lot of time to throw the ball, you can always block your tight end by doing that. And if you do have the time and there are no safeties over the top because they're all in man coverage, Robinson can be a one-play touchdown. So again, our initial read here is going to be triangle. He's going to be open. We actually had a ton of time to make that throw, and you can see Vander Ross gets up the field again. Run it again here, and we didn't have it there or time, but square coming across on that dig route was going to be open, but that's kind of the backside read that we take a look at, and honestly a good spot where we get a lot of yards and rack those up the field. We're just getting screamed at by the computer on Heisman right now, and if you get blitz like that, that's a great opportunity for you to go out there, and there we got circle, but it's going to be a little bit of a bad throw. That's going to be a great opportunity to where you're going to block your tight end to get that extra protection. Now, of course, only sending 3 routes out there is going to make the job a little bit easier for your opponent's secondary and just pass coverage in general, but you are going to have more time, and you can see this route coming across the field will usually be open and find gaps in between zones. Play number 3 is going to be slot cross. This one a lot quicker when it comes to hot routes. There's literally only one that I do here, and and that's going to be streaking Vander Ross, so hot route menu, triangle for your inside slot receiver, and up on the left analog stick. So he's more so of a clear out route with that streak, but you can find gaps, especially in a cover 3 defense, where you can throw that racket right up the field and score a touchdown. But we're really looking for Jaden Ott here. Like, this route's really good against man coverage. People tend to forget about your running backs out in receiving, you know, when they're going out for a route, if it's not a table route or a wheel route. So, you know, this one you're going to find a lot of open space. I mean, we kind of got the bomb here. The pressure is in our face, but triangle did have one-on-one coverage there on the streak. No safety help over the top. So we would have tried to throw that up there. But as you can see, you're going to be able to find your running back, rack it up. You're typically going to have some good speed at that position. If you can get, you know, Jaden Ott's like 100, a little over 100K, and he's got 85 speed right now at running back, and cards are only going to get better. But he's the primary target that I look at when it comes to this route and all of the route combinations out there. But if you do have time to throw it, I mean, the deep in by Cam Coleman is going to get open if they're worried about everything else. That backside or inverted dig route or zig route from Robinson going to right and then left and inside is really good. Even the post route, or I'm sorry, the corner route from Armstrong, the tight end, is going to beat a lot of man coverage. I don't really throw that one if there's a lot of zone, but all of these are viable routes out here. There's just a lot of really good combinations. But again, problem lies is pass protection. If you don't have the time to make those throws and wait for the routes to get open, that's where you're going to run into trouble. And that's why Jaden Ott in this route is just so good. And bad throw there, but it's just so good, and it gets open a lot, and you can find a lot of space. We'll run it one more time before we move on to the next play. Just want to see, okay, I was hoping we could see if another route could get open, which they may have in the other previous examples. I really wasn't even paying attention to them, because if Jaden Ott's open, just throw it to him. You don't have to throw to other people just because. Take what's open there, but you can see that that circle route is getting open pretty frequently as well. I don't run flanker spot a ton, but I do run it enough to point it out in this video. It doesn't work as well as I wish it did, but the first thing that I tend to do is block our running back like we've done in other examples. Then we're going to streak Cam Coleman over there on the left, so hot route menu, square, and up on our left analog stick to put him in a streak. The next thing we're going to do, and there's a lot of button pressing in this one, that could be another reason why I don't run it as much, is we're going to stem down Vander Ross 2 clicks. So what I mean by that is using custom stems on offense. You're going to bring up your hot route menu. You're going to select the receiver that you want to stem. In this case it's going to be triangle for Vander Ross. And instead of changing his route, we're going to hold down L1 for a custom stem. While we're holding down L1, we can press down or up on our directional pad to change the depth of that corner route, and we're going to stem it all the way down so it looks like this. Now with your tight end, you can either block your tight end, but you're only sending out 3 there, or you can put your tight end on a drag. So hot route menu, selecting X, which is going to be Armstrong, and then we're going to press down on our right analog stick to put him in a drag. So you basically got a flood combination here. And that route by Robinson, it's not really like traditional in route, but it tends to get open even against man coverage. But our quick read really is looking for Vander Ross. If you have the time to throw the ball, you can also put Jaden Ott on a table route. So hot route menu, R1, and then up on the right analog stick to put him in a flat. That's going to draw one of the defenders down, so Vander Ross potentially could get open over the top of the zone, kind of like that. I don't think I have a quarterback that can make that throw consistently right now, so that could be another problem that I'm running into, and maybe eventually when I upgrade my quarterback from an 80 overall player, we'll be able to make that throw with a little bit more accuracy. But for now, that's probably another reason why I'm not running it as much. But, you know, you saw this with Flood last year in normal Y off close. That route combination worked very well, and I think it'll eventually work very well within this formation too. Quickly, I'll also go over Smash Dagger, and then we got one more play within this formation. Again, this is one I don't run a ton, but we would typically block our running back. We've showed you how to do that enough times. We're going to drag Vander Ross, which is on a streak right now, so hot route menu, Vander Ross, and then down on the right analog stick, and then we're going to streak our tight end Armstrong. So hot route menu, select him, and up on the left analog stick, so it looks like this. If you want to streak Robinson as well, you can do that, but it's really just a very basic combination. You're looking for the streaks first. If you can find gaps in zone coverage, they're going to be there to pass lead inside. Seam streaks are still really good in this year's game, and if those don't tend to be open, you got a drag and then a backside in route. We just showed you how to stem routes, So if you want to stem Cam Coleman's route like you would normally do, you can put him one click down on the in. This is the default. This is how you would go up. We would just go one button press down, so it looks like that. But if we do not have, you know, the streaks there, we're looking for the backside drag or the in route. Again, I don't run this play a ton, but it's essentially a route combination that's just not going to fail for you quite often there, and you got a lot of routes that are going to get open. Now on to my favorite play, and I don't run this a ton, but I run it enough, and that's going to be RPO zone alert snag. The reason I don't run it a ton is because I don't want to become too predictable, and it's a play that you can make mistakes on if you're not good at making reads. This is what the play looks like default, right? So we're primarily just looking at triangle or square. We got to read the defense. If triangle's open, he's the first read. If not, square is the safety valve. And if both of those routes aren't open, we still have the handoff because it's an RPO play. The handoff takes a little bit of time to develop, and this play actually works really well in the red zone. You can see we got triangle there up for a big gain of yards, but you can hot route RPOs this year, which I think is actually something that should not be in the game, but it's there, so we're going to take advantage. And what I tend to do is put Vander Ross on a streak, so hot route menu triangle and up on our left analog stick, and then I'll put Coleman on a post, so triangle or Y on Xbox, of course, Coleman to select him, and up on our right analog stick. So it looks like this. So it's still an RPO. You can still run out of this if you don't do anything, but now we have this seam streak right up the middle, and for the most part, that's what I'm throwing. The timing needs to be practice on this one. Looking at the defense needs to be practice. You need to get familiar with what you're looking at. Otherwise, you're going to throw interceptions if you make mistakes. But as you can see here, we got a nice little gap in between that linebacker or cornerback and the safety. And this is all based off of an RPO play. They just went all out man blitz there. But you can find that the post is going to get open as well. It's actually just really cheesy that you're able to do this, but we're going to go ahead and take advantage. I forgot, or I took too long to make my decision there. So we handed the ball off. And in that instance, I tried to press square because he was going to get open, and we dove instead. But, you know, again, you can still run the ball out of this formation. So certainly try this play out, and if you have any other RPOs that you like to run and you were unaware, you can, whoops, I did it again there, but I tried to press triangle. You can hot route routes within RPOs now, so you might be able to find some really cool route combinations that work for you. We'll run it one more time. Sometimes that post from Coleman can take a little bit longer to develop, and then you're handing the ball off and accidentally diving because you're trying to press square. So if you want to put him on an in route, you can do that as well. I don't do that too frequently, but as you can see, you know, it's a little bit more of a safety valve that doesn't take long to develop down the field. Now, we talked about all of the other custom audibles in different formations. When we're in this formation, and you don't have to do this, but I like to do it, we can bring up our audible menu, which is square on PlayStation, X on Xbox, and if we press our directional pad to the left 4 times, that's going to bring us over to our gun Y off trips, which has that RPO read Y flat in it, and it goes to the other side. So like if you're in this formation and the short side of the field's on your left and you got a wide side on the right, you don't have to flip anything. You just audible over to this play and you can take advantage of all of the space to your right. We're in the middle right now, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm sure if you've played online over the last 12 months, you've faced this formation and this play enough to know exactly what's coming, and we're just looking for triangle here. Now that was covered and I shouldn't have thrown it, but that's the play we're running. And the majority of the time when you run this, the flat's going to be wide open. Like you're going to get a lot of yards. Again, you've played online enough, you face this play, you know the power of it. The great thing about it though is that if you notice your opponent's user is cheating over to that route, or they're just really paying attention to it a lot, you can now put this same triangle receiver who's on a flat. By bringing up your hot route menu, selecting him, you can put him on a streak now. So you can push up on your left analog stick, and it looks like this. And if they cheat really hard to that flat route, well, guess what? You now have the streak. Now, I didn't get a chance to throw it, but you can definitely produce some walk-in touchdowns or wide open passes with this one. If they cheat too hard to the left there, a little bit of a bad throw, but you can see they cheated down to the run. The computer did in that instance, and he was still going to be wide open. I think this might be man coverage, so I don't know if it's going to work. Actually, it worked tremendously, but you can see a very overpowered play just became more powerful because EA is allowing you to hot route in RPO plays this year. Going back to the tight off weak formation and audibling over, this time when we bring up our audible menu with square, we're going to press our D-pad once to the left, and that's going to give us all of the options out of trips. And this is that initial formation that we started the year out in with that day one scheme. So if we want to just quickly hot route over to that, it's one button on the D-pad, select whatever play you're going to run, and you might be able to quick snap. If we want to go, with the bubble here, we certainly can do that. In the tight off week, we have an inside zone, which runs basically from left to right. If we bring up our hot route menu, our audible menu, and we press the directional pad once to the left and then triangle for inside zone, we're basically quickly shifting our formation. I mean, Robinson takes a little bit of time to get over there and get into position, but now we have an inside zone that goes from right to left. So you can attack the run game either way with the same type of play being inside zone. But if you do it in real time here, again, you're going to see that we can audible over, and we can, say they're just setting up their defense, they being your opponent, and they're crashing over to the right and doing whatever they got to do to stop your run one way. You can quickly change directions and audible over another way. For a deeper dive on all of the trips, tight end, Y slot stuff you can run, go back and watch the previous video with the day one mini scheme. I don't want to cover it all again, but I do want to go over PA slot corner because I don't think I went over that play that much in that video, and this became one of my favorite plays to run. One adjustment, I mean, you can leave it like this as well, but the one adjustment I typically make, hot route menu, circle to select Coleman, and then up on the left analog stick for a streak. You can cancel the play action mid-play. You can block your running back if you want, but we're really just looking for the drag and Coleman, and then that post route from Vander Ross on the deep end there. If the drag's open, again, just take what's open. You don't have to throw to other receivers just because. If people are open, take the yardage. But a lot of times you're going to find the opponent's user trying to take that drag away or make a decision between the drag on square and the post route on Vander Ross, which is triangle, and you can usually hit them over the top on the triangle route if you have enough time, but we got the drag open again there. We'll run it one last time to see if we can get triangle there. I think we will. We found a nice little gap between the linebackers there, kind of pass led up, but I noticed after creating, or I shouldn't say creating, but putting out that video on the mini scheme out of this formation, I started running this play a little bit more frequently, and I found that this became one of my more favorite plays in this entire offensive set. And again, one more time, if you scroll through the rest of the plays here, you got the China Y post, you got the curl flat, you can audible to these if you set them up in your custom audibles from the tight off week. I just happen to pick the 4 plays that I run the most there, and that's going to be the bubble flat or the bubble RPO play, the inside zone, the clear out seam, and the PA slot corner play we just showed you. So again, just for an example here, I'm going to go back over to tight off week because I want to talk about audibling out of this one. And this time, once we bring up our audible menu, if you press your directional pad to the left 6 times, and I know that's a lot there, but if you do it 6 times, you can get over to the normal Y off close. I typically do this when I want to run the jet sweep, so we just basically shifted everybody, and now we're just going to quick snap this one. It does set up a little bit quicker when you audible to that formation. There's less receivers have to run around a little bit less there, but you can get to a very popular formation out of this one by doing exactly what we did. And then you always have the Y Sal play, which has a very similar concept to something we ran earlier. The biggest difference is that we're going to stem down Armstrong, our tight end here. So hot route menu, select Armstrong, hold down L1 for custom stem, and we're just going to keep pressing our D-pad down till it looks like this. You can leave your triangle receiver Vander Ross on that little curl route, or you can put him on a drag, hot route menu, triangle, and then down on the right analog stick so it looks like this. But again, you've probably run into this formation. If you played this game over the last 12 months, this is a really good play that still really works. You can get this outside throw over here. I honestly don't run this one enough this year and probably should start to do it, but I just love how convenient it is to be in our main formation that we run the majority of our plays out of and still be able to audible over to the normal Y off close, and you can, run an inside zone. You got the jet touch pass. We just showed you Y Sal. And then finally, red zone scissors is another one that I like. You can actually get this route out of the backfield for your running back as a normal hot route. So if you bring up your hot route menu, select your receiver, which would be the running back, and press right on your directional pad. You put them into a corner route, just a really nice route. I would typically then streak our tight end. You can leave Robinson on this route or put him on a post route. That's going to be up on your right analog stick for that hot route. And on the left of the field, you can kind of do what you want to do. I mean, you can leave it like this. If you want to put Vander Ross on a speed out, You can do that by pushing left on your right analog stick, stemming that up one click. So we would go like that. Again, we talked about stem routes, holding down L1 and then pushing up on your left, or I'm sorry, your up or down D-pad. So if we want to stem him up and then maybe put our outside receiver on an in route, we can do stuff like that. But really, we're just looking for this running back route, which again, I don't have the most talented quarterback right now, so some throws that require precision are just not going to be there. But it is just a really nice route out of the backfield that you can depend on. And also, that was a bad read by me, my bad there. Also, like I said, you can get that hot route in any formation. So that's it. For the most part, that's everything that I run right now out of the Minnesota offensive playbook in the game. So if you're looking for a scheme and you want a dependable formation, tight off week 2 tight end, really, really good. And you got a bunch of other things you can audible or hot route over to set up different plays and keep your opponent's defense always guessing. Hope the video helped you out. Hopefully you guys can win some more games with this one. And thank you for watching. My name is Popular Stranger. I'm out. Peace.